Hello, lovely listeners. Welcome to another episode of the Kind Regards podcast, hosted by yours truly, Zamiwe. I am so glad to have you here, and I hope you enjoy our discussion today. So, a newly discovered hill I am willing to die on is you should start thinking of your exit strategy the moment you start a new job. As we delve into this episode, I think it's important for me to frame two aspects. Firstly, that when I say exit strategy, I am talking about transitioning from your current position into another, either within your existing company or into a different company altogether. Secondly, that I am not by any means suggesting we should not enjoy the present and always be focused on the next thing. Quite the contrary, this discussion is about making the most of one's present journey. With that being said, I'm going to give a little bit of background as to why I thought this was an important discussion for us to have as professionals and just people living life in general. I've been working in corporate for 13, going on 14 years, and have held various jobs in about 5 companies for various tenures ranging from as short as 3 months to as long as 6 years. I've had the privilege of working with colleagues based in various locations with diverse skill sets, and I've been blessed with the opportunity to work outside my home country and have also had the privilege of serving on a board level committee for a public entity in Zambia. And as I have transitioned between jobs and companies, I have at times asked myself, did I leave too soon? Did I stick around too long? Did I make the most of the opportunities I had? Did I even identify all the opportunities I had? And depending on the situation, the answers to some of these questions have been yes, no, and I don't know. And while I have been reflecting on this aspect of my career, I have concluded that as it is with most things in life, be it dating, studying, saving money, starting a business, it is important to start with the end in mind. The fact is, the jobs we are in will end. This could be in the form of retirement after decades of service or by moving on to other opportunities. The end of the role is a matter of fact. The question is, will it be an end where we have influenced as many controllable factors as possible? I know this discussion may sound counterintuitive in a tough job market where the first response may be to hold on to a job as long as you can once you get one. However, I think having these discussions may even better equip us for such times as these, as the market is so dynamic and ever-changing. We never know for sure what's coming around the corner and the impact it may have. In this episode, we're going to unpack 5 questions I think we should ask ourselves as we kick off a new role. You will find that these questions are tactical in nature, in that they assume that we already have an overarching vision for our careers. For example, you may have the vision of becoming a partner in a law firm or running an NGO that positively impacts your community. If you don't, determining the overall career vision and goals is a good place to start. Without further ado, let's get into the questions. Number 1, where do I want to go when I exit this role? The answer to this question is the basis of everything that will follow in this discussion. As I touched on before, this could be an internal transition in the form of a promotion or a lateral move to another department of interest. It could also be an external transition, which could be moving into another company in the same industry or a complete shift in industry. It could be a career pivot. It could be a sabbatical. Actually, even the job you're in could be your end game, the destination where you're happy to spend the rest of your working days before you retire. There is no right or wrong answer. There is only the answer that is right for you, your circumstances, and your goals. In my case, the where was a location. Before I moved from Zambia to Bermuda, where I'm currently based, I decided I really wanted to gain international experience, and I literally sat down and wrote a list of countries I was interested in. I even ranked them in order of preference. Number 2, now that you know where you want to go next, the question to ask yourself is, what skills do I need to get there and to make myself an attractive candidate for it? Look at the job descriptions and requirements for the next role and identify the requisite skills and have a think around how you can get them. You may need to study for a certification to enhance your technical skills. If you're looking to transition into a leadership role, maybe you need to hone in and nurture some soft skills. Think of how you can build a track record to point to when an interviewer inevitably asks you to describe an instance where you had to leverage your leadership skills to solve a complex problem. Which segues perfectly into the third question. Who do I want to build relationships with? It's been said before and I'll say it again. Your network is your net worth. And it's important to cultivate meaningful relationships. These relationships could extend within and beyond the confines of your current organization. They may involve connecting with peers, supervisors, industry leaders, professional associations. It's not just people that we need to connect with, mentors, mentees, etc. Now, I understand that cultivating meaningful and strategic relationships is probably one of the most complex things to navigate in the corporate landscape, especially when you bring in the element of corporate politics. And I'll be honest, this is an area I have also struggled with because I am not a confrontational person. So when things get political, my immediate response is to shy away. However, I will say this. Do your best to approach people with a mindset of reciprocity, openness, and sharing. Remember, it's not just about what you can gain from others, but also what you can contribute. People can usually smell a user from a mile away, so don't be that guy. Number 4, how do I want to be perceived? I remember listening to a podcast where Jane Mazimba spoke about how one needs to be known for something. She shared how she was known for putting together great presentations, so much so that people in her organization came to identify her work just by looking at a document. I found this so insightful from a personal branding perspective, and it ties in perfectly with how Walia Mundashi, Zanaco's head of marketing, emphasized the importance of consistency in personal branding in episode 3 of this podcast. If you haven't listened to it yet, go and check it out. So ask yourself, what value are you going to consistently deliver with excellence such that it becomes your trademark? What do you want people to expect as a matter of course when your name is mentioned on a Teams call? The 5th and final question is, when do I want to transition out of this role? Time is the one non-renewable resource we have, and it's important that we spend it with intention. Have a think around how much of yourself and your time you're willing to give to the role, whether you're flexible with the timelines or not. Earlier on, I spoke about how I have asked myself whether I stayed in a role too long or if I left prematurely. I think the instances where the answer to these questions was, I don't know, were when I was not sure of what my goals were. What was I looking to get out of the role and what was I willing to give? Now, I am a proponent of looking at one's career in the context of the bigger picture that is their life. And the amount of time one plans to spend in a role may vary with their priorities. If you're someone who's building a family, you may consciously decide to stay in a role that is stable and provides work-life balance and has good medical benefits longer than someone who is in the season of their lives where they're keenly looking to climb the corporate ladder or increase their earning capacity. At the end of the day, it's all about you and what you want and what works for your life. And that's it. That is my list of things to think of as we take on a new job. They can be pretty much summed into where, what, who, how, and when. Of course, it's important to revisit and recalibrate the responses as we go along. As I said before, life is more dynamic than it's ever been before. Thank you so much for listening to this week's episode. I hope you found it valuable. And if you did, please feel free to share it with a friend or 3 and chime in with your thoughts. What else do you think should be top of mind when we step into a new role? Remember to follow the Kind Regards podcast on LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook. I wish you a brilliant week ahead. Kind regards, Zamiwe.